Hey everybody, we made it. We made it. Sorry we're a little bit late there. Good to see you. KK first, Viv B, good to see you. Watch out for that sassy pants there. And John, good to see you. Yes, let's do this. It is time. It is time. It is time. And it's really fun to just get together and sometimes and just chat. But we have a lot of other stuff up there. Hi, Israel.
Good to see you guys. So, this was pretty impromptu. Like a lot of people, I guess you got a lot going on right now. And boy, am I getting downloads from the sun because just we're out there and we're getting ready, trying to do our little homesteading thing. And just all the hours out in the sun, the fresh air. Boy, it just makes you tired, doesn't it?
It does. I think that's because it's very, very healing. Hello, Miss Elantra, Race, and Havoc. Good to see you guys. Inspire me. Hi.
Great to see you guys. So, yeah, what I want to do, I got some things we could fall back on if you don't have anything you really want to talk about, but I'd like to talk about whatever you guys really want to talk about. So, Jen, what do you want to talk about?
Yes, Jen, you start.
Okay. Send Havoc. Oh, is a global blackout imminent? I do have some things up there that might be pointing towards something like that happening. Let me just blow through a couple things. Slovenia limits fuel purchases at some pumps are running dry. This is, again, Slovenia is an Eastern European country, in case you don't know exactly where it is, for those that don't really look much at maps. And, I'm trying to find it myself. There's Slovakia, see? Slovakia, Czechoslovakia used to be when I was a kid growing up. And Czechoslovakia is no more. When we go down into what used to be Yugoslavia, then we get to Kosovo and we get to Macedonia, Montenegro, Serbia. Yeah, boy, I really want to hit some of these. These are on, there's Slovenia. These are definitely on my bucket list because if you haven't seen how beautiful the coast is around Croatia and really over here, it's just amazing how beautiful. Everybody goes to Italy, but I think it's pretty much as beautiful over on this side. Just an amazing area. By the way, guys, the biggest quake that we had out here in the last, quite a bit, was a 6.7 on the North Atlantic Ridge. Let's look at. There it is. They downgraded it. It was 6.7, 10 kilometers deep. This one caught my eye. It absolutely caught my eye. While I had the map up, I just wanted to mention that. So yeah, you got gas purchases being limited. You have 92% of the people in the United States want to end the conflict over there as soon as possible. 92%. Let's end this as quick as possible. Let's get this over with. Nobody wants the war but the politicians. And not all the politicians want war. Some do. By the way, this is Senator Kennedy from Louisiana here, and he was putting a resolution that would stop senators' paychecks during the shutdown, and Senator Schatz said, "I object," and he ran away. He left the room and apparently didn't come back. I'm not sure what state Senator Schatz is from. We could find out, but that's just like them. These people, it's like the Roman Senate. They're all in it for themselves. They really don't care about any of us, besides the fact that without us, they wouldn't have their paychecks. And they're still getting their paychecks when transit workers aren't. 95 to 99% of all global internet traffic flows through undersea cables, right? And I don't know if people realize that. 30% of the world's internet passes through one choke point, the Strait of Hormuz. So this goes back to what you were talking about blackout. Iran threatens to destroy region-wide infrastructure as Trump's 48-hour ultimatum ticks down. Yes, a lot of casualties being recorded on both sides of the conflict, all sides of the conflict. So, yeah, I do think what's going to happen is this is going to lead to us not taking for granted a lot of things that we've always taken for granted, like there'll be gas at the pumps. I think also we're going to start to get used to periodic outages and maybe not having the internet for a while, maybe not having certain internet and infrastructure out there as this is coming to roost in different places. This says COVID gave us hybrid work. The Iran war might give us a 4-day work week because, again, of the rising gas prices. They know all this. I'm sure they understand all this. Yet, at the same time, I don't think maybe that the powers that be know humans as much as they think they do. That's hopeful thinking on my side. This, by the way, was that 6.7 quake right on a North Atlantic ridge. Why does it stick out to me? Because we don't really get them that big here often. Maybe something of that size once or twice a year. It's just a rarity. So is there bigger activity underway or getting ready to get underway on Earth? Why are we not hearing about this? The flooding in Hawaii, for instance. We've talked about the dam numerous times that it might collapse. Yet the flooding in Hawaii is massive. And how about this? Nobody's really talking about the Nebraska fire that's now basically got 1 million acres on fire. 1 million acres are just burning up as we talk. And there's really not a lot of coverage of that. Now, this is one of our own family members that took this video. And I know I'm not going to say it right. Leicester? Is that how you say it? Leicester? It looks like Leicestershire, but Leicester, I guess. UK over here. Some weird light. And numerous people saw this. This looks like there's like massive swarm of some sort of bugs, but I don't know what that is. As far as what looks to be a swarm of locusts, but then in the background you see this light, something doing loop-de-doos and all sorts of crazy maneuvers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's pretty wild. I think there was a lot of things in that area, coming out starting around 2017, 2018. Things really, really revved up. Viv B was saying, when you start opening your chakras, what does it physically feel like? Same sensation for all of us or different for each? I would say very much different for each. But you might get sudden, like explosive feelings. You might feel vibrations, buzzing. You might feel I don't know, pinching. It might feel like somebody's touching your skin. There's all kind of things that go on with that.
Yeah, it was, for me, it was almost like the sensation of breathing in through the chakra. The one that stuck out to me was really my my sacral chakra. I think what had happened was it was closed for a lot of years, and then it opened up and allowed a flow of energy to go up through the spine. And it was somewhere in the 80s when I noticed. So it was after high school, but I guess I was maybe around 20s, so maybe like 85 or something, 86. In meditation, I noticed that I could almost feel like I was breathing through it. Now, that is one of the things I would recommend for people. Focus on a chakra. It's a good idea to start with, again, the root chakra. or really even easier yet, your foot chakras. You could massage the bottom of your feet right at the pad, again, of the foot there. The bubbling wells, the K1 point, massage it. Put your feet on the ground after massaging it. And as you inhale in, put the intention that you're going to draw the life force up from the earth into your feet. And you'll feel it. It'll feel literally like it's like, cold air coming in through your nostrils. You will feel it. It just takes time.
Yeah, it's going to take a minute. But, with my root chakra and my sacral too, I thought that my phone was vibrating. And I realized I don't have a phone on my body or my pocket anywhere on me. So that's what it was like for me.
Yeah, again, each person is unique. Tingling, buzzing, a feeling of vibration, maybe a feeling like airflow. All those things are signs of a chakra awakening. And once you have the sensation in one chakra, then I think you could bring about sensation in all the others, just with a little focus. This right here, in July 2019, personnel aboard the USS Russell, operating off the coast of California, recorded a series of aerial objects moving near and above the ship. The footage was later released by George Knapp publicly, showing blinking objects in the night that appeared triangular or pyramid shaped when viewed through night vision equipment. The Pentagon confirmed that the video was authentic and taken by Navy personnel, and that the objects were classified as unidentified aerial phenomenon, UAP. Some accounts from the incident describe multiple objects in the area moving slowly and silently. There's been so much that's gone through my mind running the gauntlet. Thank you so much for your support.
Thank you so much. Appreciate that.
Yeah, we really love and appreciate you guys, and always want to be here for you as much as we can. Like today, we had to apologize because we don't usually schedule people on Sunday, but it was like the only day that somebody that's been following us forever yet just scheduled an appointment for the first time. So we were out in the yard, and then we realized, oh my God, we have an appointment. So yeah, we called them. They were gracious. And it was wonderful to connect again with people that, have been part of this family forever. Just wonderful. I think our reality is changing. It's really changing. The changes are going to be beyond anything we've ever experienced. I think we all could probably agree that, it seems like about 2017-ish, things went haywire and they've never kind of looked back. I wouldn't be surprised, if again, I know the calendars are all screwed up. So, the Mayan prophecy of 2012, was it really more for 2017 or maybe even 2026 or maybe it's 2035, 2030? Again, whatever time it really is, because we don't know. We have been so in the dark in this planet purposely. One of the things that we forgot was knowing that we have other people here with us. And yeah, there are other people. And, again, we can get into the minutia of, do we call them extraterrestrials? Do we call them interdimensionals? I don't think we can just get by with calling them angels and demons. That's just not definitive enough, because there's so many different entities out there. Consciousness abounds. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. In fact, I think you could almost say there is no such thing as an inanimate object in a way, because the stuff that makes up, Cindy's phone right here, it could be, when you get down to the subatomic particles, making up something else. And later on might very well make up something else. We understand recycled material, but again, the energy on the smallest level, ultimately, everything in some ways is like an agreed upon illusion.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the way I see that is, you everything is from source. Ultimately, it's all from source. So if you have an apple and you pluck it off the tree, that's just one off from source. You eat it right away. But if you have an apple, you pluck it off the tree, and then you make apple juice, okay, that's two off from source. So let's say you have an apple, you pluck it off the tree, you make juice, and then you put sugar in it. That's three off from source. And let's say you're making, vitamins or whatever, and you pull in other chemicals from other areas, then that's further and further and further away from source. So the closest you can be to source with everything you do, I think that's really good alignment there. If possible, it's hard these days.
Kelly Kibo, curious if we've talked about the thoughts on Professor Jiang. Yeah, he's another one that popped up, it seems like out of nowhere, and he's everywhere. From what I've listened to him, I don't see a lot to disagree with at this point of what I've listened to. Is he some sort of plant, to take us to that next level? Because I do think that they're getting ready for a paradigm shift. And yeah, we are looking at a time now when the world's political power dynamics is changing. What's it going to end up looking like? I think ultimately we're going to end up changing drastically and dramatically. And I think, again, some of the things that the control system has planned for us are going to it's going to bite them in the butt. It's going to end up backfiring. If people get more and more used to not being so married to their technology and just utilizing it in a logical way that makes sense, but not letting it rule your life, right? And control everything you do. And we get these outages, they get bigger and bigger at different times. I think because of the time that we're in, people, just like us, we're outdoors and you start connecting with nature. You start to lose track of time because, again, if we're not on some sort of artificial schedule, time moves really different. It really, really does, depending on what you're doing. So even the sensations of time, I think it's going to change dramatically in this period that we're now in.
Mm-hmm. I think time is really, really funky. I mean, some days fly by, some days you keep checking the clock. Zeno says, would love to know your guys' thoughts about the Fatima files. I actually did a channeling on that long time ago. And what I got was, it's pretty much exactly opposite of what they say when it comes to the third secret. It is not total and complete destruction. It is basically the destruction of the system. And when we get through that, we're going to be in harmony with the earth. So I don't know how many years ago and if we even still have it up, but it was completely not what I thought it would be.
We do. It's on Heart's Ohm, by the way. And if you guys aren't subscribed to Heart's Ohm, please do. It doesn't get as much attention as the other two channels at this point. What I wanted to do was to put a lot of resources up where people are, again, questioning things and coming back to, okay, so what do you do for practice? And Israel knows the type of things that we practice. Israel, thank you so much. And Cindy's got to do a roar.
He said that. Oh my gosh, when to do it? Should we do it now or later? Oh my gosh. Okay, Israel, you're going to love it. Okay, hold on. I had a thing, you guys. I had a thing, and I don't see it right here this moment, but I'm going to owe you one, Israel. I'm going to do this one now, but I owe you a much, much better one because I got a different way to make a roar. But let's go out with the old-fashioned roar, and then when we get the new-fashioned roar, you guys are going to love it. So in Israel. Okay, here you go. And a 1, and a 2, and a 3. Roar! See that? I'm getting better. I'm getting better.
And for Susan, she wants to know, did it mention the return of the divine feminine?
Oh, definitely the balance. Yes, that was the balance coming in, is that divine feminine. And you can see that we're on our way in there, because when the Kali Yuga gets closer to the golden age, we're in the bronze age, women start to move back into power. I mean, right now the important thing to note is menopause. Menopause is so important, and the word crone was never crone, it was crown. Maiden, mother, crown. We all get a crown. And when women go through menopause, it's being understood now that is to help the families continue on. So when the younger folks are out there getting food, doing what they need to do, the grandmothers are with the children, helping the children, and telling stories too, and keeping those stories ongoing. And there's 3. Thanks, Viv. We'll hold on just a second. Yes, thank you so much. And then there's 3 points in a woman's life when our brains change, and one is at childbirth, and one is when you go through puberty, one is at childbirth, and one is through menopause. And women become leaders. They absolutely become leaders, and that's how the world was harmonized at one point. So it's only us and pilot whales, believe it or not, go through menopause. We're the only species. That's it. Just us. Pretty amazing. So, Viv. What do we got here? A few years ago, a tiny gold dot flew towards my face. So startled, I tried to swat it away. I was so shocked. What was that? That's a very playful elemental wanting to make itself known, making a point. Could also have been an old friend, but it feels like it knew you very well on some level, and was really wanting your attention.
Yeah, absolutely. And I saw that our beloved Anna Trejos said, what can we do about those world leaders living forever on, those type of things, those negative things? I don't think they're going to be able to survive, honestly. I think the frequency is going to be very painful for them. She found her toy. This is another big realization that we've had. You could see they're terraforming, right? All the clouds. There's different layers to this. Is some of it weather control? Yeah. Is some of it frequency control? Absolutely. And you know what the other part is? That if those Anunnaki beings are planning on coming back here and spending time here, they can't take the light. And again, they really are. It's starting to really hit us how much they are the vampires of legend. These are vampires. When you think about Nibiru and the fact that it's really kind of it's a mothership now, was a planet, but it's very far away from the sun. In fact, it's very far away from all suns, and it has its own light source. And this is also part of Revelations when it talks about there will be no more sun and moon, because they're planning on taking some people up in ships. Literally, perhaps, some to Mars and some to Nibiru. They, want to save some of humanity for themselves, as they do need slaves and they do need resources. And there will be some people that go on those ships. Many people have gotten the message to don't go on the first ships. They even told us in, what was it, Outer Limits? Twilight Zone? I forget which one. Remember to serve man? Don't go on the ships because, it's a cookbook. It's a cookbook. These people are vampires. Think about everything that's coming out. They want those L-ites to mimic them. And they really are, when you think of the vampires as an aristocracy, this is them. This is them. There was another show. I don't know what the channel was. I forget. And it was mostly talking about, historical documentation of the fact that these Sumerian beings and the Sumerian civilizations all popped up out of nowhere. Where did they come from? That was an invasion. And yet there were earlier cultures. They make it like, the Sumerian city-states were the first. No, we had a much bigger population in the distant past, and we had bigger cities than even we do now. They just came, and they basically installed a new system. This is like what John Levy is, again, tapping into when you watch his videos, and he was talking about Sears Roebuck and the catalog. Was Sears really having people make all those things in that catalog from 1902, and it would be mind-blowing? No, they were just liquidating. It was like an estate sale for Tartaria.
Mm-hmm. Purple People United. I love it. I heard y'all saying in a video that you're getting ready for chickens. I'm so excited for you all and curious as to whether you are thinking rooster or just hens. I want to try a rooster as long as it's a nice rooster and it doesn't hurt my girls. That's fine. I'll do a rooster, but I don't know. I won't do anyone that's abusive or that I can't make them a little bit nicer. That I don't want, because I've seen them really abuse hens. I mean, sure, there might have been something wrong with it, but I know that, there's roosters out there they're a little kinder, they're gentler, but we're excited too. Got our chicks. Hopefully, I think the day is March 30th where we might get some chicks. So I'm keeping a close eye on that. And then Ben Everything said he had some up in his trees. I think that's probably the best way to keep them. If you can keep them in your yard, but in your trees, hey, that's the best type of foraging you can get.
I think Viv, Cindy could relate to what you're saying there.
Oh, sweetie, yeah, it can be very tough. I mean, for me, it's been getting really strict with the diet, dropping like all the sugar, and just going through it, and it's difficult. But you know what? It's a sacred moment. I know no one likes to hear that. That's not the popular answer, but it's very sacred, and it's a healing and a cleansing. And when it comes to your moods, going up and down and up and down, and this it's a great healing is what it is, because you finally shed all this stuff. You've been overworked, overused and not appreciated enough, and you finally stand in your power and say, I ain't doing this. I don't want to do this. This is my time. This is my time to shine. You're gonna get there.
Yeah, absolutely. So here's two videos we did over on Heart's Home. This one, The True Prophecy of Fatima, the one the Vatican and the controllers don't want you to know about, and the other one was the anniversary of the miracle of Fatima. What was Mary's message, and what did people really see? Because, again, it's always the control system going in and changing things. This really shows you everything we need to know. Nigerian researchers accidentally confirm Africa's low IQ problem. The average IQ in Somalia is 67. The Western nations average is 100. And, why? Why is it so low? Well, doesn't that Gil Bates guy spend a lot of time there? You know what I mean? This is what they're cultivating. And we do understand, again, the food, the water, everything. There's many things involved, but yeah, it's not good, because globally, the population's IQ has been dropping. Now, I think it's going to explode, honestly, for those that are on, the path of ascension, that you're taking care of, watching what you're eating. I think that at some point in time, we'll get better and better food, much more amazing discoveries that we'll actually be allowed to see. Everything from, different energy sources to simple and efficient ways of healing all sorts of ailments. That's where you got to hold on. I know some people have been suffering with chronic conditions for a long time. I think really, well, you're in a different age now. It's a different yuga. This one, check this. There's scientists at University of Nottingham just dropped a fluoride-free protein-based gel that actually rebuilds early tooth enamel damage. No more drill and fill. It mimics infant enamel growth proteins. It acts as a scaffold to pull calcium and phosphate from your own saliva. Triggers epitaxial mineralization to regrow real enamel crystals, not just a fake coating. And repairs in days, stays strong against brushing, acid, and chewing for weeks. So, things like this. There's been so much turned off in our bodies. Why can't we regrow an arm? Well, we're not lizards, but why could they and we can't? Or, even a tail, right? Yeah. There's so much that we've been limited with because of the genetic intervention that was done on us, again, by these beings, that are really vampires.
Mm-hmm. Well, our roots of our teeth are so very important. I got into reading a little bit about biological or organic dentistry, just the natural type of dentistry. And I read about studies that they got these rats and they shot blue dye in their bodies. And within 4 minutes, that blue dye was all the way up in the tooth. So our teeth are always constantly circling and cycling and moving information up to our actual tooth. So in many ways, teeth can heal. And I really do believe, given the right materials, they can get better. Aw, thank you, Frankie. We appreciate that so much. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Frankie. Big blue puppy. This one right here, we've talked about this too. The shape of the earth itself. You would think in this day and age, we would have this one understood yet, but we really, really don't. Our whole realm, the whole idea, because I think it's a realm. I think we should maybe think of it as a realm. Because what is our situation? I think as above, so below, as within, so without. So I do think we're living in a cell. One cell and amongst an infinite number of cells. I think that's the way consciousness works. So, what is the shape of a cell? Well, from certain viewpoints, it could look very flat, round and flat. Like a flat circle, right? Yet, from the perspective of being inside it, no, it's not flat. Look at all the space, right? Yet at the same time, we're creating our own reality. It takes an observer to actually create a reaction in the particles that make up everything in the manifested universe. It's responding to our seeing it. And so, in some ways, I think we really still don't have a clear perspective. But the one thing I will say is we're not alone. And I thought I saw Diana say that you can't ever be alone. And that's true. I don't think you really ever could be alone. I think it's an impossibility. And I'm able to remember my dreams every night. And what happens when I'm starting to fall asleep? All of a sudden, I find myself having conversations with other people, and I don't even know who they are half the time. I think it's my guides, but I notice the same thing with Cindy too. She's right away interacting with other beings. It's like we're interacting with beings when we're in the dreamscape that we don't always see and can't even maybe feel them when you're in normal waking state, but they're there, and it's your perspective is the thing that changes.
Mm-hmm. There's just so much that goes on around us, and a lot of our technology definitely keeps us distracted. Kelly said, was told my 17-year-old needs his wisdom teeth removed and question all of this stuff now. I do too. If you can, take him to a biological dentist of some kind, or just keep asking questions, because we got to question all of that. I know mine were I was in a lot of pain. I mean, a lot of pain. So that's what I did, but everyone's different, and I would definitely talk to a few different people about that.
Yep. So, yeah, Robbie has his guinea pigs, and he's got to clean the cages, and it's tough because the dust and the dander and everything can trigger breathing problems. That was me in my 20s and 30s. I had all sorts of issues. I had real bad asthma. I had scarring in my lower left lung from pneumonia that was pretty severe. I had a big fluid buildup, and I was working a job where I felt like I couldn't take time off, and it literally was killing me. And yet, I used an inhaler all the time. And when I was like 28 to maybe like 33, 34, I always had an inhaler somewhere. And I haven't used one now in 20 years. What changed? Really, it was that I cleaned up my diet primarily. No junk food, get rid of the processed foods. I did practice my Qigong and take my Qigong practice much more serious. Also always paid attention to exercise and just, trying to build up the immune system, as well as periodic fasts and recognizing the power of detoxification of, you could do that a lot of different ways, but fasting is the first thing that comes to mind.
Anna was asking about, nutrition, what are some yummy, healthy recipes or daily menu of enhancing and healthy nutrition alternatives, guys. Much love. Well, all I can really add to that is, if you're just starting, it's so hard to go through all your stuff because, if you have stuff like in boxes and, chips and stuff, it's probably going to have a plethora of chemicals on it on the ingredients list on the back. But what I would suggest doing is just flat out buying organic. No matter what you buy, just start with that. Buy organic. Don't start taking away from yourself, but start giving yourself better, healthier options right away. That's something you can do and not overwhelm yourself. So you just start with the next grocery run and just commit to healthy alternatives. But there's this thing called greenwashing where they make it look clean, but it's really not. So watch that.
Yeah, absolutely. And Ben, everything was saying NAC is like a miracle for your lungs. Absolutely. NAC is very good. And the other thing too that changed for me was the climate, because I was living in Milford, Connecticut, and we had a lot of gray days. We had a lot of pollution coming in from New York every day. When I left there and moved down to a little town called Elgin, South Carolina, I immediately got better. It just dramatically improved. The warmer climate, living now in a town of 700 instead of, up there in the Northeast with all the pollution and the vehicles and stuff, that helped me dramatically too. I remember when I first went to Puerto Rico, I couldn't get over how good I felt. I think there's more chi. And I think there's more chi more in the tropical zones, more life force in general. So it could be climate too that has an effect on your allergies.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, for sure. Climate, change the seasons, and sometimes allergies are just a buildup of toxins, and you have to find ways to get those out. And it's also your body just, saying, hey, I need a little help here.
Yeah, absolutely. Viv asked, does anybody else make their own laundry soap?
I like to use borax where I can, and maybe a little bit of that Arm & Hammer stuff, but with borax mostly in it. So I know that my aunt, she used to make it She made it really good. Now, the biggest complaint that I hear is people cannot make their own homemade stuff without it leaving like a lot of stains on their clothes. So maybe you just cycle out and you use something good for stains, but you double rinse or triple rinse and then throw that in the dryer. So that's just a thought. If you make your own soap and things aren't getting clean, use something that will get it clean, but then really rinse it out. So, because you don't want that touching your skin, because there's all kind of chemicals in that.
Yeah. So, the more I'm thinking about it too, because I did go and live in Ohio for a couple of years, being close to the kids, and I felt like my health took a step back. Even though I was practicing Qigong all the time in the winter, I did feel like I was less vibrant than when I was in Florida or the Carolinas. And also when we were in New Mexico, even though the meditations were great and we had a lot of peace and everything, I think the fact that we were at like 7,900 feet elevation and it was much, much colder. I think my personally, my body doesn't like cold. It doesn't like gray. I love sun. I get seasonal affective disorder big time when there's, long prolonged clouds and stuff like that. I'd much rather be somewhere where it's much more tropical. And the sun, it heals. It boosts our immune system. It increases, again, the vitamin D. It makes everything just so much more vibrant, in my opinion.
Yeah, the sun is great. We really need that. We really need that light, especially in the morning, to help regulate your mood and your melatonin.
Yeah, Robbie's talking about the homemade toothpaste. That's what we do all the time. And I tell you, I had really sensitive teeth for the longest time. As soon as I started making it my own, and again, it's really just coconut oil, organic, baking soda, a little bit of tea tree essential oil, a little bit of peppermint essential oil. We'll put some clove in there too. All that tooth sensitivity went away. No more worsening of the teeth. Now, the other thing too is, cutting out sugar, and that is so hard. I think that's the biggest drug addiction on the planet.
Well, it is. It's huge, I mean, I definitely had issues with sugar, and I went to healthy alternatives, but that wasn't enough for me. I had to just finally let it go. But I did it in stages. You got to do it in stages. And, you might wrestle with that and go round and round and round. But if you're a person who's supposed to do it in stages, the universe will help you.
I just want to ask you guys too, are you noticing strange booms? We were talking about the meteor that came in and literally, hit a woman's house in Houston, and there was a similar circumstance in Germany. The thought is that perhaps it's coming from 3i Atlas, some sort of debris trail from 3i Atlas. I know Cindy did mention something about 3i Atlas when I told her that.
Well, yeah, that's what I thought it was right away, that debris trail.
Yeah, so that's really interesting in and of itself, the fact that we're going to be getting a lot more visitors. But I mean, I've also felt a lot of shakes, and then I'll go and look, and there's nothing on the USGS. It could be sonic booms, it could be other ships too going by. Could be a lot of different things. And then again, I do think that we're heading into a period where we're going to have great quakes. So that's always a possibility too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, we've had some really wild earthquakes and earth phenomena, all kind of stuff with the weird wonky lights everywhere, all kinds of endless sightings.
Yeah, it's really pretty wild out there. So is there, more lands beyond Antarctica and that whole ice wall? Again, the ice wall thing, I think that we think it's an interdimensional barrier. It may even just simply be some sort of illusion that's put there. Maybe, using some sort of technology that we don't quite understand to give the impression that there's, nothing past a certain point when there very well might be. In fact, I think that there is, because I do think that we only are living on at the most about 25% of the planet. I think, the vast majority is not available to us, but may become available to us as we rise up in frequency. And then that would be the case for the individual, right? Somebody else had said something about the rapture. There's different things. You could look at it, and I could see definitely mass alien abductions. But at the same time, how about frequency change? What's going to look like when the split does come? Again, I think that there's a lot of people that agree that you might all of a sudden be missing a lot of people on planet Earth and wondering, where did they go?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a lot going on. And Zeno, waking up with the yellow tongue. Yeah, I think that could definitely be an indicator of a imbalance. The beginnings of an imbalance, and it can also reflect a sluggish digestion, liver, gallbladder imbalance. So check those things. Be taking your milk thistle.
Yeah, did you know? I mean, you probably have heard of hollow earth, right? Hollow earth theory. Yeah, this right here hits me. We know that the energy field of the earth is like a torus, because also the human energy field is like a torus. And in fact, the actual shape of, again, the universe itself may very well be toroidal, which implies that there's some way for energy to flow within and then flow back without. We have the Agartha and Shambhala myths, legends. It's just all over the world. There's many Native American legends, the Cherokee too, talk about I think they call them the Nanahi. If I remember right, I did a video on that like 7 years ago. Who are the Nanahi? They're actually beings that live inside the earth. But when the Cherokee are in trouble, the Nanahi will actually come and help them, because they view them as kind of like cousins, I guess you would say, as part of the bigger family. And so there's been times when the Cherokee were attacked by other tribes, and then the Nanahi all of a sudden appear from somewhere, and they're actually there on the surface fighting with them. This is pretty wild stuff, but this is what we see time and time again when we look into the ancient myths.
Mm-hmm. And let's see, a music board would like Mike and Cindy to do meditation. Oh, we will. We have lots over on Heart's Home. We'll do more, but stick around, because we're going to do dings and just a small little energy work bump for all of you guys for tonight.
I think, is the earth hollow? I think, again, I think there's a lot of entities living inside it. Maybe we are inside it. I mean, I wouldn't say it's impossible that we're actually inside the earth and not outside of the earth. I do think there's other realms. Again, we could think of them as planets. I kind of view them all as different cells. I tend to think of cells under a microscope and interacting with other cells. And, it's said that the Draco themselves weren't originally in our universe. They came through some sort of portal and came into our universe from another. Think of wormholes again. Yeah, I think ultimately we are living in just a single cell. So maybe, defining it is not really going to be possible, because maybe it's just a part of perspective.
Yeah, New England dirt roadie, only 3 months until the days start getting shorter and shorter and shorter. Just something, I feel it feels off. That does feel off. We'll just, it sounds like it's a shortened cycle or something. It feels a little weird.
Yeah, time is relative. Being older now, it really does feel like time flies. Weeks fly. And sometimes I'm blown away by thinking, "Oh wow, it's Friday again or it's Saturday again." Can't possibly be so quick. Did you know? And Edmund Halley, and Halley's comet, in 1692, put forth the idea of Earth consisting of a hollow shell about 800 kilometers thick, 500 miles, two inner concentric shells, and an innermost core, about the diameter of the planets Venus, Mars, and Mercury. Well, yeah, Venus and the Earth are supposedly pretty much identically sized. Mars is about 2/3 of us, and Mercury is very small in comparison. I'm not sure exactly how big it is. 10%, 15%, maybe, of the Earth, something like that. Atmospheres separate the shells. Each shell has its own magnetic pole. The spheres rotate at different speeds. Halley proposed this scheme in order to explain anomalous compass readings. He envisioned that the atmosphere inside is luminous and possibly inhabited, and speculated that escaping gas caused the aurora borealis. Ooh, that's an idea. Elena, thank you so much, dear Elena. Another person that's been with us so long over there in Asheville.
Mm-hmm. And Viv B says she needs some grounding techniques for, gaining her crown. Yeah, it can be quite exhausting. So here's one thing you can do at night. You get a spoon. If you can get a real silver spoon, that's the best. But otherwise, just, sterling silver, whatever you have. And you take that round end of the spoon and you take to your bare feet and you rub that round end of the spoon into your bare feet, right in the middle at the bubbling wells. Or is that the K2, what you call the K2? K1 points or bubbling wells. So that's right in the middle of the foot. And you rub that, and that is going to ground all of your energy for that day. So do that nightly. Get some maybe good grounding sheets too.
Yeah, and Purple People United. If we stand with our arms in the air, like in little V, then we start looking like chromosomes. Yeah, absolutely. As above, so below. Black holes are basically portals to other universes. Totally agree. Or maybe to, what would you call it? An inverse universe? Mm-hmm. If we're like in the yang side, maybe it's like a portal to the inside.
Mm-hmm. What do you think? Well, as above, so below is so everywhere. It's so everywhere, as within, so without. And you can, once you start to study that and practice that, it just kind of becomes mind-boggling, and all the answers are there all of a sudden. It's like lifting the veil.
Oh yeah. And I'm going to jump over to our buddy here. I wasn't aware of this channel, and I'm not sure how it popped up, but it's another person's take on some of the work of Christoph. And I thought this was just awesome because Christoph goes off on these little speeches, diatribes. And, a lot of times the stuff that he gives off, it's like it causes me to get really excited. And I mentioned it to Cindy, and she's like, yeah, of course. And it's like all about what really is happening with what are we in? We're in kind of a big illusion, right? It is. And this is what he's saying. He's basically saying space, the vastness of space is an illusion. He said space is just a spherical point. Let's go back to this because I thought it was brilliant, and yet I do agree. I've thought about this myself. I've had other people bring this up in other words, and I think it's great. If there is an observer in space, we are such observers, then the cosmos has only one part of space activated. Everything else is an illusion. Our imagination adds a continuation to this illusion. And space is only a spherical point that makes sense up to a certain distance from the observer. Then he loses himself. That is why it seems like it's infinite. It's just, it's a soup of potentiality. And it's only that which is being observed that really, really is going to manifest.
Mm-hmm. When you go outside of your body and you get out of this 3D body, I had it was a very interesting experience, because there's a difference between, going out of your body and then having you just totally leave your body. I mean, there's differences there about like near-death experience versus, meditative experience. It was really different for me going through the near-death experience and being outside of my body and then looking at source, being in outer space, looking at source, and the source having the light that is speaking to me in a way that I still understand. But when I was out of my body, I didn't care about it. It's like, wow, that's down there. I'm up here and I have all this freedom. But I had some questions to ask, and I asked him, and I got my answers, and then I went back. But, there's so much information. I wish I could have stayed longer, because I had a lot more questions, and I was just surprised at how Source was able to speak back to me in a way that I fully understood, and understanding my traumas and understanding what I've been through, and even understanding why I asked what I asked. I mean, it was amazing. It was so cool.
Viv is asking, can I use a pure silver coin instead of a spoon?
Sure, I would definitely give it a try. Absolutely. If that's what your intuition is pulling you to, then do that. And that's one thing I really want. I want to empower you guys to use your intuition and to explore and expand and try new things and trust yourself. This is about trusting yourself. There's so much about trusting yourself, and that's just what I love to see people do. It's like, if you have an idea, a thought, have fun with it. Open that wonder door. Sit there and just use wonder. Like, I wonder what it would be like if I used the silver coin. Stuff like that, and just do it. Yeah, go, Viv.
So the observer sustains reality. Yeah, I totally agree. And this truly is yoga, and it is the Sanatana Dharma. It's really at the core of Hinduism. Again, we're all living in the dream of Vishnu. So in a way, are we just literally living in a cell in Vishnu's body? I think in some way the answer is yes.
That's what I feel. I feel we're all a cell out of that, great master creator being.
Yeah, absolutely. And he says, I know it sounds a bit illogical, but he's saying what he feels. So he's not necessarily getting this from a logical standpoint. These are the impressions. And to me, that makes it way more potent and valuable. In other words, it's as if space were a blind spot. I can't explain to you all how I feel. The cosmos, a blind spot, but the moment somebody observes, a logical observer appears, the cosmos begins to make sense and functions in some way up to a certain distance. Beyond that distance, then it's really just potential. And that's like Shiva, and Shakti. Shakti is again, with that divine feminine principle, is the creation. So in one way, we could look at ourselves and say that everything is the goddess. We're on Mother Earth's body. We're in her body. We're on her body. We are cells in her body. And yet she herself is just part of a greater divine mother.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, this is all these energies that we need to explore for ourselves.
Yeah, so, I mean, you can understand that when they give us the scriptures, they are all they're concerned with is keeping us in their loop, their control loop. And we can break free at any point in time if we choose to, but they're trying to trick people into manifesting a reality that they stay under the power of the control system. They don't ever really escape the dark matrix, so to speak. So, when you look at, reality is sort of an illusion, agreed upon illusion. It's very fun to think about it. The observer realizes the illusions. It gets to him too, where he doesn't have the words to express what he feels. Oh yeah, then he goes on to somebody that was living in 1692. He was looking today, this is an older one. He was looking today at the moon again. He got drawn back to the moon, and he sees that the moon is basically a ship. It's hollowed out. He says the moon was not created the same time the Earth was, and it's not the same material. In fact, he got that it's not even really from our solar system. It's not a natural part of our solar system. Perhaps it was with Nibiru or, some other solar system. They've given us the concept of wandering stars. Now, wandering stars, wandering planets, so, these renegade bodies, how would you say it? These different renegade, let's just say planets again, realms, planets that are rogue and doing their own thing, not in unison with the rest of the creation, off having their own unique experience, perhaps. This is something that scientists have only really started talking about in the past few years. I think, again, it's because they have to give us some of the truth when it comes to when we get visitors, perhaps from Nibiru, being introduced here.
Mm-hmm. I think we're going to have some interesting times in this world. It feels like they're really building up to trying to force us into that CBDC, and in order to do that, they have to crash everything, and they have to bring in, inflation up to a point where we're just suffocating, and so many people are going to be hurt. And that's why I think it's really important that we come together in these groups to manifest a different way, a gentler way. It doesn't need to be this hard. It's the controllers, the ones who have just created this matrix, this 3D matrix, to, be increasingly difficult to live and just sustain. I mean, it's really so wrong, but I do love it when we come together because I think we make a difference.
Oh, absolutely. And then, what's all this really coming about to? It's the fact that we've been kept in the dark to our reality. Most beings out there have a much greater sense of the fact that they're in a kind of artificial construct, and they're having an experience for the purpose of learning and growing. They've kept us totally in the dark to the nature of reality. And the fact that this is your experience, this is what the guides constantly come back with. They respect our human experience. They really, really do. The guides, the benevolent beings, totally respect our individual experience and what we want of it.
Mm-hmm. That's really important to know, that they're not they don't fight with each other. They don't have the higher deities, the higher entities. They're more like, where can I help? Where can I help? Who needs me? Where can I help? And they're not jealousy is just not a thing. So when we're looking at 5D, 6D, we're looking at harmony, and then the desire to bring things into harmony is so very strong, and that's how it happens. And when you see a being that's not in harmony, you want to help and bring it in, because everyone suffers if someone else is not in balance. Everyone wants to make that effort to do something positive and bring harmony back, because it is such a peaceful feeling.
So this is our experience, and they've tried to hijack our experience, so to speak, and take it from us to make us experience what they want us to experience. So, I mean, really, it is a time going into the Bronze Age. It's a time of just about everything being possible. And that's exciting. Yeah, there's really no limitations. No limitations to what the possibilities truly are. Again, when you look back to the myths of both Greece and also in the Hindu Vedic tradition here in the Bronze Age, we could live to be 1,000 years old. And in the silver, up to 10,000. In the gold, it's set up to 100,000. It says in the golden age, it's just whenever somebody gets bored with the game and wants to move on to a different thing. And that's when we would just simply lie down, go to sleep, and awaken to a new reality.
Indeed.
It's pretty exciting, guys. It is absolutely pretty exciting. The sky's the limit. So interesting, we were talking about hollow earth, and then you have also concave earth. The thoughts again, what if we are on the inside and we think it's the outside, but we're actually on the inside? Anything's possible, really.
Well, just given that nothing makes any sense whatsoever.
No. And like Scott says, whenever we're looking for a savior, that takes power away from our hands, right? This should be all about us and what we want to manifest. Other beings understand this. And, here you go. If you're looking for a savior, you're looking for somebody to come and save you, whether that's Yeshua, whether it's the Imam Mahdi, whether it's Buddha, or whether it's the Galactic Federation, it's got to be us. It's really always been us, because this is our journey. It's our destiny. It's to save ourselves. But the question is, what are you saving yourselves from in the first place?
When I did have that experience with Source, I think one of the biggest takeaways was you create everything around you. You create everything you need for your own expansion. So that means all of my surroundings, my home, my dog, my absolutely wonderful husband, everything I created, it was for me. It was for me. So I could learn about love, and I could learn about forgiveness, and I could learn about expansion. So wherever you're sitting, you look around, somehow, some way, you are doing that for your own expansion. And there is no expansion without struggle. Look at the butterfly. Look at the baby chicks pecking out of the eggs. There's got to be some kind of struggle. There's like a giving force and a taking force to become whole or have those experiences just for you. So that was a huge takeaway for me, that it was important that I create everything that I have, and all of my struggles, they have a lot of meaning.
Concave and convex, right? Concave and convex. If we look to different shapes and stuff, do we see any clues that maybe point to the fact we might be more inside of something as opposed to outside? This is talking about the shape and contour of South America, amongst other continents. There's only one paradigm that concurs 100% with nature as we know it. To ignore concave Earth possibilities is to ignore the very nature itself. So, when we look at these ancient maps and stuff, why does it seem like things have changed so much? And they really do. When you look at these old maps, did they just not truly have a clue? Because that's what, the historians will tell us. Well, we didn't really understand the true shape of the continents, but we have it all completely mapped by Google, every little inch. But there's a lot of little faux in there. If you look at Google Earth, there's a lot of weird anomalies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a lot of parts where you go to an island and you go into the water and you end up at a grocery store, It's pretty goofy sometimes, the places that you end up in, the things that they cover up. Why are things so covered up? You can't look at a lot of places for various reasons. And what frustrates me is, I know with our tax dollars, we've created a lot of those places that we're not allowed to see.
Yeah, and we've shown there's a lot of curious things. There's what looks to be an antenna array to the north of Cuba, for instance. I'm not sure if I could find it again. But yeah, Cuba has been in the news because are we going to be invading there next? I have my doubts. There it is. See? I mean, what is that? Some people say that's a harp under the water. It could be. I mean, or was this just part of a sunken, piece of land? So yeah, here you see the Keys coming out, and there's Havana. I wouldn't be surprised if it was underwater antenna that was somehow, influencing our weather or creating earthquakes. There's a pyramid off of New Orleans over in here somewhere. You can't really see it. But yeah, they found it, and it's not too far under the water, maybe like 70 feet. There's a lot of weird things. We've all talked about the anomalies. They erased the anomaly that was over here. Santa Monica, they erased it. There was like openings. I don't even know if that's it. I'm not sure what that is now. But yeah, they've erased some stuff. There you go. I think that might have been it. They've kind of blurred where people were thinking that's just entrances into, the reptilian city underneath Los Angeles. These almost look like figures, don't they? That's just weird. There's a lot of weird things here. And our reality is far weirder than probably what we all thought when we were kids going to school. There is also some runways over in here off the coast of Costa Rica and Panama. There you go. Look at those straight lines. Look at those straight lines. To me, this looks like it was an airport or something, don't you think?
Yeah, that's pretty curious. It definitely looks like a big runway. I mean, just look at our runways that we have now.
Yeah, I mean, there are so many of these anomalies that it boggles the mind. And then we've done videos down here because when you look for little places that the guy could walk and drop the guy, like here, okay, we're way down there, right? There's the tip of South Africa. I'm not sure if this is the one. Let's see where this takes us. Wait a minute. I don't know what that is. I don't know. Maybe that's there. I don't know. I don't know what that is. Atlantic Indian Ridge. There are weird things here. One of these that I found down here actually takes you to somewhere in the Middle East. It's like a place where you get kebabs and shawarma. It's right by Antarctica. It's just weird. I think it was a little bit more over in this direction. There's the South Sandwich Islands. There's nothing here. No snow view. But anyway, you get the picture. There's a lot of oddities. Okay, so if you look at it, there's still a few places where Google Earth is not mapping. And a lot of it is right here in the Amazon, which, by the way, there are some big cities down buried under all this. LiDAR has shown that. It's a crazy, crazy world, guys. Thanks for being part of it. You never know who's going to show up.
Oh my goodness sake. Look at this guy. He's super cute. Oh my gosh. You just got to love your four-legged. And do you ever wonder if you adopt a four-legged angel, of who really saved who? That's what I wonder.
Absolutely. So Cindy's going to do some dings, and I'm going to put out there the wish, Loka Samasta Suki no Bhavantu, may all beings everywhere be happy and free, and may my thoughts, words, acts, and deeds contribute to their freedom and happiness. And may we all be free to make the most out of this life without any sort of constrictions by, parasitic entities.
So I want to say huge thank yous to Running the Gauntlet, Israel, Viv, Frankie, Elena, Miss Xenomorphet. We really, truly appreciate it. You guys, you help keep this channel going and help us, keep helping everyone come together and create a better reality for all of us. So here we go. You guys are amazing. Source bless and namaste.
Much love, guys. Namaste.